Part 35. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Feng Yuan Kandi. Chapter 341. Chapter 341, Noble Identity, First Update. Zhang Ziluo's fingernails were dug into her flesh, and there was an icy coldness in her eyes. He must avenge the Wei family. After saying this, Wei Hanzhou gently touched Zhang Ziluo's hair and said, "Sister, fourth brother will handle these matters. Fourth brother is very happy to see you well." Wei Hanzhou was very grateful to God for allowing his sister to live. Zhang Ziluo didn't say she wanted to take revenge because she was afraid that her fourth brother would be worried. Zhang Ziluo looked at her fourth brother, her eyes were red. When he was young, the fourth brother had a cheerful personality, loved talking and laughing, but now his temperament has become so calm. Even speaking, he restrained his emotions. She knew that the fourth brother must have suffered a lot. "By the way, fourth brother, your face." Zhang Ziluo also wanted to help fourth brother look at his face. Maybe she could cure fourth brother's face. Wei Hanzhou took off the mask on his face, revealing an intact face. Zhang Ziluo looked at her fourth brother's face and immediately felt familiar with it. The fourth brother looks almost the same as he did when he was 10 years old. Looking at this face reminded her of her childhood, and her eyes turned red again. "Everyone says your face is disfigured, but I don't believe it." Wei Hanzhou explained, there was no disfigurement, just to avoid unnecessary trouble, so a human skin was used and a mask was used. This will not easily remind people of the Wei family, otherwise this face will be easily recognized by others. Once the court knew that the Wei family was still alive, they didn't know what to do. Zhang Ziluo said, "Fortunately, the emperor has been forced to retreat to the south, and it is the grandson who has won the hearts of the people. It is estimated that it won't be long before we can also capture other states and cities." Wei Hanzhou nodded and said, "With his ability, he can definitely do it." Wei Hanzhou and the others had been in contact with Taijun when they were young, especially the third brother who was His Highness's companion at that time and was even more familiar with Taijun. They understand Taijun's character, so they are willing to trust Taijun. Wei Hanzhou looked at Zhang Ziluo and said worriedly, "Sister, you have suffered a lot in these years." His sister should have been well-fed and cared for when she grew up. But seeing his sister wearing coarse clothes, Wei Hanzhou felt very uncomfortable. Zhang Ziluo smiled and said, "Fourth brother, I'm okay. My parents now protected me and went to Bizhu to live in Xinshan village. Although I don't live in the Wei mansion, my parents dote on me, and my younger brothers and sisters are also very good. They take care of me first and I don't suffer any hardships. Later I met Kui Hejin and we got married." Zhang Ziluo explained briefly. Wei Hanzhou was so shocked when he heard that his sister was getting married that he couldn't recover for a while. In his eyes, his sister is still a little girl. But in the blink of an eye, they got married. "Sister, you..." Wei Hanzhou couldn't believe it, and even suspected that he had heard it wrong. Zhang Ziluo looked at the shocked look on her fourth brother's face and nodded seriously, "It's true, fourth brother, I'm married to Kui Hejin. He was the eldest son of Kui Kuagong. I think you should have heard of him when you were a child. Later, I was also exiled and went to the village next door to Xinshan village. We met and got married. In fact, it was me who took the initiative." Zhang Ziluo was afraid that her brother would be dissatisfied with Kui Hejin, so she told her about her initial initiative. Although her soul was incomplete and her mind was not very bright at that time, in the end, she took the initiative. Perhaps subconsciously, she had the feeling from her previous life. Even if she was not conscious, she still wanted to be with Kui Hejin when she saw him. Her parents naturally doted on her and thought about how she would be happy, so they supported her. When it comes to Kui Hejin, Zhang Ziluo has a gentle smile on her face and a smile on her face. Just by looking at her expression, you can tell that she has a good relationship with Kui Hejin. Wei Hanzhou is still worried. His sister was already married at such a young age. But when I think about it, time flies so fast. My sister is indeed 15 years old. In my memory, my sister was still a little girl, and she got married in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Wei Hanzhou's mood was extremely complicated. It's him. Although the Kui family and the Kui Kuagong mansion had little contact with my Wei family at that time, I had contact once or twice about Kui Kuagong's crown prince. He was a child prodigy. When he was a child, he was extremely famous and versatile in both civil and military affairs at that time. My grandfather praised him very much. But he never imagined that Kui Hejin would become his brother-in-law. Judging from the look on my sister's face, she definitely likes Kui Hejin. Otherwise, he wouldn't look like this. Wei Hanzhou felt a little sour in his heart, an indescribable feeling. But as long as my sister is alive and her sister is happy, that's fine. Is he nice to you? Zhang Ziluo nodded and said with a smile, "Fourth brother, don't worry, he is very, very good to me." "Well, fourth brother, I will ask him to come over to see you." Wei Hanzhou nodded. Zhang Ziluo got off the carriage and came directly to Kui Hejin. In fact, Kui Hejin was a little worried about Zhang Ziluo just now. Seeing her eyes red and looking like she had cried, she felt very distressed. He reached out his hand and gently wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes. "Why are you still crying?" Kui Hejin couldn't see Zhang Ziluo crying. Zhang Ziluo gently pulled his sleeve and said, "I'm fine, I'm just excited to see my fourth brother." "Well, I told my fourth brother about our relationship. You should also get on the carriage and meet my fourth brother." Kui Hejin nodded and said, "Okay." After Kui Hejin got on the carriage, he was slightly surprised to see Wei Hanzhou. It turns out that his disfigurement was just a rumor. Wei Hanzhou looked at Kui Hejin and marveled at his graceful appearance. Even though he was wearing coarse linen clothes, he could not hide his noble temperament. Calm down, elegant and noble. It does not mean he has insulted his sister. Only. Kui Hejin cupped his hands and said, "I've met fourth brother." Wei Hanzhou couldn't calm down when he thought that this man had married their precious sister home. He said, "Sister, let's talk, you go and play for a while first." Zhang Ziluo blinked and looked at Kui Hejin. Kui Hejin nodded to her. Just then Zhang Ziluo got off the carriage. However, Yuntai saw that Zhang Ziluo was standing aside and was fine. He walked over curiously and said, "Miss Zhang, you are the sister of my leader." He could hardly believe it. The leader was so excited just now. He had never seen the leader look like that before. Zhang Ziluo nodded and said, "Well, he is my brother. I have been looking for him. The leader should have been looking for you. Whenever there is news about a gun, the leader will inquire about it." In the past, the leader never kept a smile on his face, but in front of you, he has real emotions. You will be the princess of our tribe from now on. Zhang Ziluo was startled. "Tribal princess?" "Yes, you are the sister of our leader, so you must be the princess of our tribe. We are the Cloud Eagle tribe, and there are tens of thousands of people in our tribe." Hearing these words, Zhang Ziluo's expression condensed. "There are so many of you. There were not so many people before. At that time, there were only 100 or 200 people. It was the leader who came and led us to form such a large tribe." End of this chapter. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 342. Chapter 342 Forming a Force, Second Update. When Yuntai said this, he had a look of admiration for the leader in his eyes. Zhang Ziluo was shocked. "How did my brother suddenly strengthen the tribe? Strictly speaking, he is an outsider. Do the people in your tribe recognize him?" Although Zhang Ziluo didn't know much about the tribe, she had heard some things about the tribe. In the tribe, it was an environment where the weak and the strong preyed on each other. The tribal leader must convince everyone in the tribe, and he must also be able to hunt wild beasts for food for everyone in the tribe. Yuntai said, I didn't agree with it at first, but the leader conquered everyone with his strength. When leaders fight, it's a life-threatening way. When fighting with others, he will not fall down even if he is covered in wounds and blood. He will always defeat his opponent. When going hunting, the leader is not afraid of those ferocious beasts. Hearing this, Zhang Ziluo's face turned pale. Her fourth brother has experienced so many things. Just say, how can it be so easy to form such a strong tribal team? Tens of thousands of people. Zhang Ziluo looked at the following people. Could it be that the fourth brother also planned to incorporate these people into the tribe? How old was my fourth brother when he came to the tribe? 12 or 13 years old. He started to form a tribe when he was 12 or 13 years old, fight with people from your tribe, and go hunting. Yuntai nodded, yes, so the person that everyone admires the most is him. He is a godlike person over there. Everyone says that he has obtained the inheritance of the sun god. What Yuntai admires most is people like the leader. The leader relied on his marksmanship to defeat the warriors of the tribe. Yuntai was filled with admiration when he thought of the way the leader looked when he was provoked to fight with others to prove himself and when he went hunting. He did not notice the pale face of Zhang Ziluo in front of him. Zhang Ziluo felt that after hearing this, her heart ached very much. She didn't dare to think about how her fourth brother survived in the tribe. Brother, does he have many wounds on his body? Yuntai nodded and said, he had many wounds and criss-crossing scars on his body from the beginning. At that time, he came to our tribe along the river and was picked up by the tribe. Everyone thought he would not survive, but the witch told him that he had a strong desire to live. He fell into a fever and fell into a coma at first, and we all thought he wouldn't survive, but 3 days later, he woke up on his own, and he managed to survive. The people in our tribe were all surprised. It is said that he has obtained the inheritance of our sun god. Everyone in the tribe believes in gods, and Ajo's strength also convinced everyone. At this moment, Zhang Ziluo shed uncontrollable tears. The fourth brother was only 12 or 13 years old at that time. She didn't even know how the fourth brother arrived at the tribe unconscious in the water. She tried hard to suppress her emotions, thinking that luckily she had brought a lot of medicine. She must find a way to remove the scars on her fourth brother's body. She doesn't know how her fourth brother is doing now. She'd better check his pulse and take care of him. Zhang Ziluo quietly wiped away her tears, adjusted her mood, and asked in a low voice, does your tribe rely on hunting to survive? Yuntai explained, it's not just about hunting, but also picking some wild fruits and so on. However, there are still few wild fruits. Everyone mainly eats the meat of wild beasts. If we can't hunt for food, everyone will starve. Every time the leader takes the soldiers to hunt, he always kills food, and everyone has food to eat. The leader also led us to find iron ore, and we can all make iron by ourselves. Make your own weapons. Our tribe's weapons are sophisticated, and our leader trains everyone's strength. Our strength improves quickly, and other tribes cannot invade our tribe's territory. Listening to what Yuntai said, Zhang Ziluo realized that the tribe's living environment was not as simple as imagined. Zhang Ziluo seemed to have thought of something and asked, then you don't pay attention to vegetables and grains? Yuntai said, we didn't grow it before, but after the leader led our tribe to grow, he bought some vegetable seeds and grain seeds in the past 2 years and taught us how to grow rice and vegetables. Nowadays we also eat rice and vegetables, but we mainly eat meat. Eating meat gives us strength. The people of our tribe are naturally strong. If it were anyone else, Yuntai would not have said this at all. But this person is the leader's sister, and the leader cares so much about his sister, so naturally he wants to tell more information. As if thinking of something, he said, actually, everyone still likes to hunt to obtain food. Planting is too slow, and planting so much land and growing so little food is not enough to eat? We all have to do a lot of things on weekdays, such as ironing, grooming, training, and many other things. Zhang Ziluo's heart moved when she heard this. There are some potatoes in her space, and the potato yield is high. If the tribe members are allowed to grow potatoes on forest land, the yield will be high. It is possible to harvest 2,000 kilograms of potatoes from 1 acre of space. Thinking of this, Zhang Ziluo's mind moved and she turned around to talk to her fourth brother. There are also some crops that can be grown in the forest on the other side of Guanglin. And there should be a lot of food and supplies in the virgin forest over there. Maybe others don't recognize it, but Zhang Ziluo definitely does. She must help whatever the fourth brother wants to do. What are you and my brother going to do when you come out this time? Actually, we didn't think of it at first, but a few months ago, many people fled to our forest and were rescued by our leader. They told about the severe situation here and seemed to have heard of a person's name. That's the leader's enemy. The leader thought for a while and brought some people over. However, when we came, the leader said that someone was dead, so the leader protected the nearby villagers to escape. It just so happened that when the leader saw the officers and soldiers oppressing the villagers, he stepped forward to help somehow. The leader became famous. Since everyone is following, the leader should secretly protect them all the way. We are going back to our tribe anyway. After hearing this, Zhang Ziluo probably understood what was going on. She asked some more questions about the tribe. After a while, Kui Hejin got off the carriage. Zhang Ziluo hurried up and asked, "What did you say to my fourth brother?" Kui Hejin looked gentle and said softly, "I didn't say anything, I just talked about the current situation." Of course, he also said something else. Wei Hanzhou cared about his sister very much and was afraid that he would bully Ji Luo. But how could he give it up? For fear of being blocked by his fourth uncle, Kui Hejin naturally wanted to express his attitude. Zhang Ziluo nodded, "I'll get on the carriage to see my fourth brother. I'm worried about his health." Zhang Ziluo got on the carriage, looked at Wei Hanzhou and said, "Fourth brother, I know a little bit about medicine. Let me check your pulse and check your physical condition." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Space Doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Candy. Chapter 343. Chapter 343 Disorder. Wei Hanzhou's left hand trembled slightly as he listened to his sister's words. His expression changed and he said, "Actually, no need." He didn't want his sister to see his physical condition. Zhang Ziluo looked at her fourth brother seriously. Wei Hanzhou was a little defeated under his sister's persistent eyes. But he still wanted to persist. He didn't want his sister to worry about him. "Sister, I'm fine, I don't need to check my pulse." Zhang Ziluo understood even more when she saw her fourth brother's guilty look. "Fourth brother, let me check your pulse. If you don't let me check your pulse, I will definitely be worried and I won't even be able to rest well." This is quite true. If she didn't know what was going on with her fourth brother's health, she would have random thoughts and become even more worried. Zhang Ziluo looked at Wei Hanzhou with red eyes. Wei Hanzhou was helpless, he couldn't bear to make his sister unhappy. Can only stretch out his left hand. Zhang Ziluo was immediately startled when she felt her pulse, and her heart trembled. "Fourth brother, your physical condition." Zhang Ziluo wanted to continue but was speechless. Her voice was trembling. "Actually, it's okay." Zhang Ziluo looked at Wei Hanzhou with red eyes and said, "It's okay. How can you say it's okay like this? Your body has been poisoned and you still have fever in a hot place like Guanglin, your body can't stand it even more." and the internal forces in your body are disordered and restless, it will be very hard for you to suppress these restless internal forces. Did you take some poisonous herbs? Wei Hanzhou sighed. He didn't expect his sister to have medical skills, and he could tell this from a pulse. Zhang Ziluo looked at it without blinking, as if she wanted to hear Wei Hanzhou's explanation. Wei Hanzhou said, "In order to survive at the border, I ate a lot of vegetables and weeds. There was little food there, and some weeds might be poisonous. At that time, I couldn't care so much. I just wanted to survive and take revenge no matter what." Furthermore, Gong Sun Wu and his men set a fire at the border gate. Perhaps they also developed a fever because of the fire. Later I survived and walked back, but I was chased and fell into the cliff and into the river. When I woke up again, I was in the forest on the Guanglan side. But it's okay, I don't think there's anything wrong, don't worry. Zhang Ziluo knew that the fourth brother said this just to not make her worry. Only he knows what kind of physical pain the fourth brother has to endure. Not to mention that his internal energy was in chaos. Zhang Ziluo took out a pill and said, "Fourth brother, take this first. Don't worry, I know medical skills and I will definitely cure you." At this moment, Zhang Ziluo had a firm belief in her heart that she must cure her fourth brother. Originally, she planned to go to southern Xinjiang. But now that her fourth brother is like this, she can't go to southern Xinjiang for the time being. She should stay with her fourth brother first and help him take good care of his health. Otherwise, once the fourth brother's physical problems suddenly emerge, coupled with the internal restlessness, it is likely to kill the fourth brother. Zhang Ziluo would never dare to take any risks. She didn't dare to think about what she would do if something happened to her fourth brother again. Only by helping her fourth brother get rid of all the toxic fever and calming down his internal energy can she feel relieved. Wei Hanzhou took the pill given by his sister and was about to take it. "Fourth brother, slow down and drink the water from this water bag. The water in the water bag is spiritual spring water, and she also used the wood power to refine the essence water of plants and trees. Fourth brother, drinking it is good for your health." Wei Hanzhou drank the water and took the medicine, and soon he felt a refreshing feeling in his body. The pain in the body has been reduced a lot. This surprised him. End of this chapter. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 344. Chapter 344 Looking for medicinal materials. Wei Hanzhou felt a magical feeling. Whether it was the elixir given by his sister or the water in the water bag, he had a magical feeling. When he uses his internal energy, it becomes somewhat uncontrollable, which may be related to his physical condition. At this moment, the restlessness in my heart seemed to be calmed down. It seems as if a sweet clear spring is nourishing the meridians. Let his tense body slowly relax. Wei Hanzhou found it incredible. He looked at his sister with shocked eyes. Unknown to him, his sister actually knew how to heal. Zhang Ziluo looked at Wei Hanzhou seriously and said, "Fourth brother, don't worry, I will help you take good care of your body. The elixir I just gave you can detoxify part of it, but to truly detoxify your body, you still need some medicinal materials. There are many mountains and forests on this road. I can go to the mountains and forests to look for medicinal materials. There are a lot of supplies and treasures in the forest, and there are also some medicinal materials." Along the way, Zhang Ziluo also dug some medicinal materials in the forest. It's just that they're all put in space. But those medicinal materials are common medicinal materials, and they are not effective if they are used to treat the fourth brother's body. Looks like she needs to search more carefully. Wei Hanzhou said, "Sister, it's okay, I feel much better. If you need any medicinal materials, go back to the tribe and I will have someone find them. People in the tribe also hunt and go out to pick. If there is anything they need, I will tell them and they will pay attention when they go out to hunt or pick." Zhang Ziluo nodded. Perhaps there will be some medicinal materials in the primeval forest. She will pay more attention on the road. In this way, Zhang Ziluo could only go to the tribe with her fourth brother first. She told Kui Hejin, and Kui Hejin naturally supported her. Now even if we go to southern Xinjiang to look for your eldest brother, we may not be able to find him. It's just some rumored news, but your fourth brother is really alive, and his body is still the most important thing. Kui Hejin knows Zhang Ziluo's medical skills. If they follow Wei Hanzhou along the way, Zhang Ziluo will help nurse Wei Hanzhou back to health. If his body is healthy, Wei Hanzhou will be fine. Things should also be prioritized. And since Wei Hanzhou's health is well, they have no worries and can go directly to southern Xinjiang. Seeing Kui Hejin understanding and supporting her, Zhang Ziluo felt warm in her heart. Husband, thank you. You fool, don't say thank you to me. I said, I will accompany you wherever you want to go. This is also Kui Hejin's innermost thoughts. For Kui Hejin, it doesn't matter where he goes, as long as Ziluo is by his side. Zhang Ziluo nodded. In fact, with Kui Hejin by her side, she would feel at ease in her heart. Just like that, the two of them got into the carriage and followed Wei Hanzhou to the tribe. Stop and go along the way. When it's time to rest, everyone will rest. When we are in a hurry, we go together. Of course Wei Hanzhou is familiar with the roads here now, so they all choose to walk on shortcuts. You can also rest on the edge of the forest when taking a rest. When it's time to rest, Zhang Ziluo will go to the mountains and forests to find medicinal materials. Wei Hanzhou wanted to accompany him, but Zhang Ziluo wouldn't let him. He wanted to arrange for guards to protect him, but Zhang Ziluo didn't need them either. Fourth brother, my husband is very skilled in martial arts, and he can also protect me. This sentence is quite true. Kui Hejin's current strength makes them not afraid even if there are bandits. Yuntadu nodded vigorously, Chief, Mr. Kui is very powerful. When the bandits attacked before, Mr. Kui killed several people with just a wave of his hand. End of this chapter. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 345. Chapter 345 Discovery of Tribute Dishes. Everyone following the team also knew that there might be supplies and food in the mountains and forests. And because of Zhang Ziluo's previous teachings, people from Nyejia village and Shiba village will enthusiastically teach everyone how to identify mushrooms after they join the team. This kind of mushroom can be eaten, but this kind cannot be eaten. This is edible. We have eaten it before. It tastes great when made into soup. There is no problem at all. This is what our benefactor taught us. Now everyone also knows that the benefactor who helped them along the way knew the sharpshooter boy. As to what the relationship was, they did not explore it. They only know that the benefactor is so kind to everyone. Since the benefactor knows the sharpshooting boy is an even better person. So they must be right to follow. Nyejia village and Shiba village have become more determined. Even Guan Wenchinj told his grandfather and the people in his village about the power of his benefactor and the young master. As he continued to talk, everyone became more determined to follow the team. While resting, Guan Wenchinj also asked his uncle and cousin to go to the mountains and forests. Food is easy to find in the mountains and forests. There are some inconspicuous plants, and you may find food if you dig them up. This is how we found yams before. The yam was also found for us by our benefactor. With the yam, we can follow us all the way here. The thing Guan Wenchinj is most grateful for now is yam. And the yam is delicious. The benefactor said that yam cultivation has a high yield. Guan Wen told his grandpa in Chengdu. They all discussed that if they could find a place to settle, they would try planting yams. Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin walked into the mountains and forests. Zhang Ziluo specializes in looking for medicinal materials. Master, there is Ganoderma lucidum in front, and under the tree in the northeast, there is also Astragalus. With Xiaolan, the space elf, helping to guide her, Zhang Ziluo could easily find things in the forest. Zhang Ziluo followed Xiaolan's instructions and kept looking for medicinal materials in the mountains and forests. Soon the basket on his back was filled with medicinal materials. When Zhang Ziluo was about to walk back, she thought that in the past 10 days, the people behind her might not have much food. Xiaolan, is there still food in this forest? Master, when we were walking this way just now, I discovered the tribute dish. Zhang Ziluo's eyes lit up. Are there any tribute dishes? Gong vegetables can be eaten raw, stir-fried, or served cold. It is a kind of crisp and refreshing food. Master, there are tribute dishes. Zhang Ziluo said, then take me over and take a look. Yes, Master. Xiaolan pointed the way, and Zhang Ziluo walked that way. Kui Hejin followed Zhang Ziluo to protect her. But it also made Kui Hejin a little confused. His Ziluo can always find something accurately when she walks around in the mountains and forests, and there is no need to take detours at all. This is a bit magical. Zhang Ziluo saw a large area of tribute vegetables, and happily grabbed Kui Hejin's sleeve and said, look, these are the tribute vegetables. This is the first time Kui Hejin has heard of tribute dishes. Is it a tribute vegetable? Zhang Ziluo shook her head and said, no, that's what it's called. The modern name. However, at this time, if you say this, you may be mistaken for food as a tribute to the palace. Then let's call it ma cai. In fact, these tribute vegetables are somewhat similar to lettuce. Let's call the big guys first and ask them to come and harvest these. You can take them back and eat them when you rest on the road. You can peel them, cut them into fine pieces and dry them in the sun. They will also be crunchy and delicious. But if you are hungry now, you can eat it raw. You can also put it in when making soup and porridge. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Space Doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 346. Chapter 346 Wild Beasts in the Forest. In modern life, sometimes people like to add some tribute vegetables to hot pot. Kui Hejin looked at Zhang Ziluo's excitement and joy, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Seeing her happy makes him feel better. These days, Zhang Ziluo has a sad look on her face because she is worried about her fourth brother's health. Kui Hejin looked worried. Sometimes Zhang Ziluo doesn't have a good rest at night. Seeing her smile, Kui Hejin was also happy. Then I'll go and call everyone over. Zhang Ziluo nodded and said, okay. Kui Hejin went to call for someone, and Zhang Ziluo stepped forward and cut off a piece with a knife, peeled off the outer skin, cut a small piece and tasted it. It's really crispy and a bit refreshing. Although it doesn't taste very good when you eat it at this time, it is still food. Gongke is rich in protein and a variety of vitamins. When Kui Hejin went back, he happened to see Guan Wenqing. Let Guan Wenqing tell everyone that there is food ahead. Guan Wenqing quickly called everyone. Especially when his grandfather was being explained by Guan Wenqing for so long, he believed in his benefactor even more. Not to mention, during this period, they did not dare to eat mushrooms at first, but after following Guan Wenqing to identify a few mushrooms they ate, they found that they were really delicious and there was no problem eating them. So they believed in Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin even more. Not to mention the people in Nyejia village and Shiba village, everyone picked up their things and hurriedly followed Kui Hejin to where there was food. When other people saw this scene, they naturally followed suit. Of course, the old, weak, women and children should rest where they are first. Those who were strong went to dig for food. When everyone saw the tribute dishes, they asked, are these food? When others were suspicious, people from Nyejia village and Shiba village hurried up to cut the tribute vegetables. "Thank you so much, my benefactor. Your benefactor found us food again and helped us all. We don't know how to repay our benefactors. Their abilities are limited now, and they are in the process of escaping from famine. They don't know how to repay Zhang's Hiluo and Kui Hejin." Zhang's Hiluo said, "No need to be polite, I can do it with a little help." She really just happened to help everyone. If everyone follows him to Guanglin in the future, and if they are willing to follow fourth brother and live in the tribe, they may also trust fourth brother more. In the primeval forest, it is actually necessary to have tribal protection. But Zhang's Hiluo doesn't care about this for the time being. Anyway, she will follow her fourth brother to visit the tribe and help him take good care of his health. Zhang's Hiluo had already peeled off a tribute vegetable, handed it to Kui Hejin and said, "Try it." Kui Hejin took it and took a bite. "It's really crisp." He thought that if Hiluo hadn't said this was food, everyone would not have regarded these things as food. Zhang's Hiluo said, "This way everyone will have one more kind of food to eat. Dig some and take it with you on the road, and you can eat it for at least a few days." While everyone was digging tribute vegetables, they suddenly heard the roar of wild beasts. Everyone turned pale with fright. At this time, Xiaolan said excitedly, "Master, Master, there are wild boars and leopards." The leopard was chasing two very large wild boars. When Zhang's Hiluo heard this, her eyes lit up. "This is food." Zhang's Hiluo quickly grabbed Kui Hejin and said, "Let's go ahead and hunt the wild beasts. We have something to eat." If she hunts a wild boar, she can make delicious food for her fourth brother and Kui Hejin at night. Although she has some supplies in her space, taking them out rashly can still easily arouse suspicion. So she secretly brought food out on the road and pretended to have gotten it from the mountains and forests. But things like pork cannot be conjured out of thin air. It's better now. End of this chapter. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 347. Chapter 347 Using Internal Power. It is delicious to eat braised pork, stewed pork ribs and stir-fry with meat. It's a pity that I don't have time. If you have time, you can just make dumplings and wontons. I remember that my fourth brother liked to eat wontons when he was a child. She thought that when she returned to the tribe, she could make wontons for her fourth brother. Fortunately, it's almost winter now, so I won't feel too hot when I go to the virgin forest over there. If it's summer, it must be very hot over there. But this season should be neither hot nor cold. She also thought that she might be able to do something for her fourth brother in the tribe. But the most important thing at this time is the food issue. Seeing Zhang's Hiluo's furious expression, Kui Hejin stopped her and said, "Slow down, don't be anxious, I'll take care of it." Zhang's Hiluo looked at Kui Hejin and knew what he was worried about. "Don't worry, there are just a few wild beasts, I won't be in danger." She could feel that Kui Hejin was really nervous about her. This gave her a sweet feeling in her heart. The roar of the beasts is louder, which means they are charging towards you. Kui Hejin no longer stopped Zhang's Hiluo. He jumped up, tapping the leaves with his toes in the air, and quickly came to the place where the beasts were fighting. Kui Hejin took the sword in his hand and jumped down from the tree. The sword in his hand quickly pierced the black panther's neck, and then killed the two wild boars. Bump! The two wild boars fell to the ground. Zhang's Hiluo saw the scene when she rushed over. There was no need for her to take action at all. Zhang's Hiluo looked at Kui Hejin in Hilan Yushu, and her eyes widened in surprise. To be honest, she felt that Kui Hejin looked as noble as jade when he made a move. He loves to be clean very much, and there is no blood or dust on his sleeves. Perhaps it was her previous habit, but sometimes she forgot that Kui Hejin knew martial arts. Zhang's Hiluo did not look at the wild boar and panther. She hurriedly stepped forward and took Kui Hejin's hand and said, How are you? Do you feel uncomfortable using your inner strength? Zhang Ziluo was afraid that something would happen to Kui Hejin's body. Kui Hejin looked at Zhang Ziluo's nervous and worried look, with a gentle look on her face. He put away the sword in his hand, reached out and gently touched Zhang Ziluo's hair and said, "I'm fine. Don't worry." Zhang Ziluo said uneasily, "Let me check your pulse." Kui Hejin looked at Zhang Ziluo with a gentle smile and allowed her to feel her pulse. "She will get anxious if you don't let her see it." Kui Hejin couldn't bear to see her anxious. Zhang Ziluo checked Kui Hejin's pulse and made sure he was fine, then breathed a sigh of relief. Zhang Ziluo then looked at the wild boar and panther on the ground. This wild boar must weigh more than 300 kilograms. Both ends weigh almost 600 kilograms each. Wild boars are really big. Wild boar meat has higher and richer nutritional value and more unique taste. This black panther weighs almost 100 pounds. We can't eat too much, so just keep a little to eat. It will get spoiled if left for a long time. Let the rest be given to the people following you. Everyone can get half a caddy of meat. In the process of escaping from famine, it is extremely difficult for everyone to have half a caddy of meat to eat. Kui Hejin said softly, "Okay. As long as Ziluo is happy, that's fine. I'll call everyone here and bring back the wild boar and the panther." Zhang Ziluo nodded. Kui Hejin went to call someone, and she the wild boar and the panther with ropes. When the time comes, Kui Hejin will just ask people to come over and let them carry it back. After a while, several strong laborers came from Nyejia village and Shiba village. They were stunned when they looked at the wild boar meat and the panther on the ground. I don't know how the benefactor managed to knock down such a big beast directly. End of this chapter. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 348. They admired Kui Hejin and Zhang Ziluo even more. However, without saying a word, they stepped forward together and carried the wild boar and panther back to their resting place. They put the wild boar and panther next to the carriage and prepared to go back to dig tribute vegetables. Zhang Ziluo looked at their reactions and looked at Kui Hejin. Kui Hejin said, "I haven't told them about dividing the beast meat yet. I just asked them to find someone to help bring the things back." Zhang Ziluo said to Li Zhang from Nyejia village and Shiba village, "Uncle Nai, Uncle Shi, come here and help process the meat and give it to everyone. Give each person about half a caddy of meat. Or divide it according to the teams. See how many teams there are in total, how many kilograms each team should get, cut it up and send it to everyone, so that each team can subdivide the meat, whether to cook it together or share it with everyone. Decide." Li Zhang from Nyejia village and Shiba village were shocked when they heard these words. They were already very excited and grateful to have their benefactor guide them to find food. Who would have thought that the meat of the wild animals that the benefactor had killed would also be given to them to eat? They were so moved for a moment that they didn't know what to say. "Thank you, my benefactor. Thank you, my benefactor, everyone will be very happy to know." 2 men and a few strong laborers began to process the meat. When everyone in the team found out, they cheered even more. They haven't tasted meat for a long time. They were all happy to know that they could eat pork and even leopard meat. Not to mention that they just got so many tribute dishes. This also made everyone more determined to follow behind. We are all farmers and villagers. They are also simple people. They were grateful to Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin for sending over some of the mountain products they had worked so hard to pick. There are things like mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, green onions, dried fruits, etc. Zhang Ziluo said, "No, I really don't need it, you can just keep it and eat it." Everyone was afraid that Zhang Ziluo wouldn't want her, so they hurried back after putting it down. Zhang Ziluo looked at the things everyone put there, as well as the bird eggs, and felt a little touched in her heart. Wei Hanzhou said, "They are all people who know how to be grateful." He was also observing these people along the way. If his character is good, he will welcome everyone who is willing to follow him and join his tribe when entering the forest. If there is a problem, Wei Hanzhou will not accept it. Zhang Ziluo said, then use these to cook. Cook some rice and braised pork. Zhang Ziluo took out the seasonings from her backpack. In fact, she took out the seasonings from the space. Zhang Ziluo used her fourth brother's iron pot to cook rice and the iron pot they brought to make braised pork. Zhang Ziluo made a big pot full of pork belly. Wei Hanzhou could smell a strong fragrance. It was different from any food he had eaten before. This reminded Wei Hanzhou of the time when he was in Wei Mansion when he was a child. At that time, my sister also liked to tinker with some food. But she was still young at that time, so she always told people how to make things and directed the people in the kitchen to make them. Some foods are really delicious to eat. In the past 10 days or so, although I have been on the road after meeting up with my sister has also made some food to eat. But the food is relatively light. Meat is only cooked now. When it was ready, Zhang Ziluo filled a bowl of rice and some braised pork for the fourth brother and his guards. I also scooped up some braised pork soup. The braised broth goes well with rice. Wei Hanzhou was amazed after taking a bite. This tastes delicious. With a hint of sweetness, it is different from other methods. Zhang Ziluo looked at Kui Hejin, and Kui Hejin also nodded. This reminded Kui Hejin of the time in Donghe village, when Zhang Ziluo also cooked braised pork. My mother and sister also like to eat it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Space Doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 349. Seeing that fourth brother and Kui Hejin like to eat, Zhang Ziluo is also very happy. It was Yuntai who screamed excitedly. Miss Zhang, the meat you cooked is so delicious, we have never eaten such delicious meat. Wow, it's so delicious. Yuntai is so delicious that he wants to cry. They live in the forest for the survival of the tribe. They all have to go out hunting often. They eat very little vegetables or dried fruits, and mainly eat meat. Because eating meat can make you stronger. But in the past, their meals were just enough to fill their stomachs, so there was no taste. But after eating the braised pork cooked by Mrs. Zhang, they realized that meat can be so delicious. Eat it with the fragrant rice, it's delicious. When he returns to his tribe, he will work hard to hunt and grow more rice. I don't know if it was a psychological effect, but he thought the rice cooked by Mrs. Zhang was really delicious. The rice cooked by Zhang Ziluo is delicious. One is because the rice itself is food produced in space, and the other is because the rice is steamed with spiritual spring water. Natural flavor. Zhang Ziluo was shocked when she saw Yuntai's eyes were red and he was about to cry. I wonder if this is a bit exaggerated. Wei Hanzhou saw his sister's expression and seemed to know what she was thinking, and explained, in the tribe, everyone thinks about having enough to eat every day. Many times, people in the tribe are hungry. Because it's not every day that everyone can hunt wild animals and eat food. Even if we hunt wild animals, everyone still eats them in a traditional way, which is to boil them in a pot with water. It has no taste. Hearing this, Zhang Ziluo felt a little emotional and gained a deeper understanding of the tribe. So it turns out that the people in the tribe actually live like this? Seemingly thinking of something, she asked, aren't you going to add salt? Wei Hanzhou said, putting salt is just for the people of the tribe. Salt is extremely precious. If you can, put less salt. Most of the time, everyone doesn't put salt. So I came out this time to use animal skins exchange some salt. There is a lot of salt in the cabinet under the carriage. Zhang Ziluo understood that all the salt must be transported to the tribe. Is the salt exchanged in the cabinet enough? It feels like there isn't much salt in the box in the dark room below. There are tens of thousands of people in the tribe, so this salt should not be enough. Wei Hanzhou explained, now that there is a war, the government has stricter control over salt. I only traveled to several places to exchange the salt. And the government is also looking for us, so our goal of exchanging animal skins for salt is too big, and we can't exchange too much at once. Zhang Ziluo thought that a big bag of salt was placed in her space, which might be of some use. Had she known earlier, she should have prepared more salt. Fourth brother, if you can find a salt lake, you can get salt. She has a way to purify the salt. Or find a salt mine. Wei Hanzhou said, we haven't found any place with salt in the forest in the past few years. Zhang Ziluo thought to herself that since Xiaolan was here, she would walk around the tribe more often. As long as there was a salt lake, salt well or even a little salt, Xiaolan would be able to find it. She doesn't have to worry about this. After solving the problem of salt, fourth brother's tribe can also grow stronger. There is no need for fourth brother to work so hard to get salt. Kui Hejin thought of how Ziluo and her mother turned coarse salt into fine salt. He knew that as long as he found salt, Ziluo would have a way to turn coarse salt or salt mines into fine salt that could be eaten. This night, Zhang Ziluo and the others were not the only ones eating meat. Even the people who were fleeing behind were cooking meat and vegetables. Everyone was enjoying the smell of meat, and some quietly wiped their tears. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Candy. Chapter 350. They have not eaten meat since they fled the famine for such a long time. Eating the fragrant meat, many people's eyes became red. The people who gave us the pork are Mrs. Zhang and Mr. Kui. They are very good people. Yes, such precious pork will be given to us if it is given to us. Even if I was in the village before I fled the famine, I would only be willing to buy a pound of meat to taste it during the Chinese New Year. It's right for us to follow the team and move forward. Yes, but we must also know how to be grateful, and we must actively help our benefactors in the future. That's natural. This moss is also delicious. If my benefactor hadn't told me, how would anyone have known that it was food? I used to be afraid that there would be no food to eat on the way out, but now I don't worry anymore. Yes, with these tribute dishes, we can eat for many days. After everyone had a full meal in the evening, they felt happy and dispelled the sadness of leaving home. Everyone was suddenly full of hope for life. Not to mention the people in Nyejia village and Shiba village, they don't even think about it. They will understand and just follow Mrs. Zhang and Mr. Kui to escape. The benefactor is so capable, they will definitely have a way to survive. After having a full meal, Zhang Ziluo cooked medicine using the herbs she dug and the herbs in the space and gave it to Wei Hanzhou to drink. Brother, we don't have all the medicinal materials available now, so we can only boil this kind of medicine. Although the efficacy of the medicine is reduced by half, drinking it will also be good for your physical recovery. Wei Hanzhou took the medicine handed over by his sister and drank it without hesitation. He himself can feel that after more than half a month of sister's care, his health is much better. You can also sleep better. In this way, everyone walked and rested along the way, picking some food from time to time. Of course, Zhang Ziluo helps everyone find food most of the time. After walking for a month, we finally arrived at the edge of Guanglin Forest. Although this place is very far to the south, it is winter now, so everyone here will feel a little cold. Everyone looked up at the towering trees and said, "The trees are so tall. It looks different from the woods we have seen. We have crossed the border of Yun Kingdom." Don't be afraid, everyone. Once you've crossed the border of Yun Kingdom, even the Emperor of Yun Kingdom can't control it, let alone the government offices. There are no government offices here. There are tribes here, and many homeless people are under the control of the tribes. Yuntai added the sentence. For the more than 1,000 people who followed behind them, they had a way of survival without the government officials collecting taxes and detaining them to fight. Is there also a wild beast? Of course there are wild beasts, but our leader is powerful and we are not afraid of wild beasts. Any wild beast will become food for our tribe. But those small tribes or nomads are afraid of powerful beasts. In the forest, everyone hugs each other to stay warm. Yuntai is not afraid of anything now, because they have a leader with them. People don't know much about tribes. But everyone has heard of tribes in the grassland. Everyone was a little uneasy and afraid of wild beasts coming out. But we have already reached this point and can only enter the forest. But after everyone saw Zhang Ziluo and Kui Hejin, for some reason, they felt safe in their hearts. In fact, on this journey, Zhang Ziluo was very approachable and helped everyone find food. If anyone has a headache or a fever, Zhang Ziluo will dig up herbs and cook medicine for everyone to drink, which can help everyone heal their body. So everyone now trusts her very much. Of course everyone is also grateful to the so-called sharpshooter boy, but the gratitude is different. They were grateful to the sharpshooter boy with a sense of awe.